All right. So this one's going to be kind of a short, just letting you know where we're at, basically, and catch you up on some things going on and whatnot. So I got to hang out with my folks this week. My parents were in town. They got a house up in Cherry Grove, and I got to hang out with them a little bit. And I learned a little bit more about me. And you guys have heard me talk a lot about anxiety and panic attacks and whatnot, and just I have the worst. I just have the worst brain. I don't know what's wrong, and I've sort of been chalking it up here lately to the concussion that I got when I was really young, when I fell off the back of the car. I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day, and they were talking about all of the side effects to concussions and whatnot, and I heard a lot of similarities between me and the people that they were talking about. So I'm going to chalk it up to that, but I'm going to get to that in a second. But I was amazed at how much I was just like how I chose to come back home instead of going and hanging out with them more. I went and hung out with them one night for a couple of hours, but I don't know why. I don't know why I just want to be here all the time. I don't know why I don't want to leave home. I don't know why I'm just stuck in this spot all the time. And I don't know why. And I think that, and I was listening to Rogan the other day talk about the concussions with Dale Jr. Actually, he was like, he could just be perfectly fine 1 second, and then all of a sudden he would just snap. He would just lose his shit and just say horrible things to the people around him, and just really just honestly be a dick. And I obviously connect with that because that's me most of the time. And I'm like, I don't know. I can be most of the time. I feel like I'm being reasonable here lately. But then again, it depends on who I'm dealing with and the amount of patience I have for said person as to how I will react to what they do. But just hearing him talk and say, just I changed, like I wasn't myself. These things started happening, and I had no control over what I would do, and I would say something or do something or whatever that would just, that was outside of my realm of normalcy, things that I normally would do. And I was amazed by that because I am the same way. I'm the same exact way. I do weird things that have no explanation and say weird things to people with no explanation. And I just don't think about the consequences to it sometimes. Like most of the time, I'm really careful about like how will this affect what? How will this affect the person that I'm talking to, or how will this affect the people that hear what I say? But there are other times when I'll just say whatever it is that's on my mind, and I'm like, "Fuck! I guess I just did that. Like, I guess I can't take that back." And then sometimes I'll apologize for it if I was wrong. But sometimes something just needs to be said, and I feel like I've inherited that from my family, where we'll say what needs to be said, whether it's appropriate or not. And I also was reminded of that hanging out with him this weekend. But I wonder, I did have, when I fell off the back of the car, right, and I told you guys that story, I think. But you know what? There's a few of you guys who may have not listened to the episode where I cover that and tell that story. So I'll give a quick recap. Selling World's Finest Chocolate, walking down to the neighbor down the road, and my Aunt Marie and my cousin Sam, I think, were going to my Aunt Becky's house, and they drove past me and stopped. and told me to jump on the trunk of the car, and they would ride slow to the end of the road so I didn't have to walk the whole way. So even from a young age, I was coaxed out of exercising. But yeah, anyway, fell off the back of the car, hit my head on the pavement pretty hard. I was 8 years old, and I was in a coma, and they had to shock me back 3 times from the hospital in Bennettsville to the hospital in Florence, and like just the doctors didn't expect me to live anything close to a normal life, which is semi true. And well, I just had deja vu. I think I said that verbatim the last time I told this story on the podcast. But anyway, yeah. So that happened, and that's the concussion that I got, like a straight up just free fall from however many feet high that was on the back of the car to the pavement. And I just, it made so much sense when I heard somebody like Dale Jr., who's had a shitload of concussions from just getting in so many wrecks or whatever. And also, I've been in a lot of wrecks. Like, I've been in a lot of car wrecks too, like pretty significant ones as well. And in doing the research on this stuff, a lot of people who have had bad concussions end up being very disagreeable most of the time, suicidal at some times, and just maybe a loner, maybe just not necessarily a loner, but just really digging their alone time and really not wanting to subject themselves to a lot of crowds. I was having a conversation last night. We did, Cornbread did Vinny and Ellen. Congratulations, Vinny and Ellen, by the way. Vinny and Ellen had their wedding party at Hot Fish Club last night, and we played that for them. And after the gig, I was Adam and Smitty were eating, and I was waiting for them to get done and so we could leave. And I was talking to this guy, and he was like, we were talking about music and talking about going to shows and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I just don't really go to a lot of shows because my anxiety robs me of my good time when I'm around a lot of people. And I just can't do it. You know, I want to do it, but I can't. And he was saying, you know, anxiety gets me pretty bad too. Like, it's not necessarily crowds or anything, but his trigger are other things. And I don't want to go into that. But we were just talking about how literally the anxiety will remove whatever joy that you might obtain from this thing that you're going to do. And I really hate that. But I feel like, and I'm not trying to be the guy who's like, oh, well, my situation is worse than your situation. But I feel like that my situation literally may be worse than the average person's situation just because I do have like concussions that I may amplify my anxiety a little bit more so than others. So, and I don't have, and I'm very mentally strong. I'm a very mentally strong person, and I know that because I can quit anything I want to quit at any given time. If I decide I want to stop something, I can stop it, and I know that I can mentally overpower. Even my fat ass can drive past every fast food restaurant that I watch commercials every fucking day and see them advertising all these delicious new things that have come out that I want to try and I want to go eat and I won't do it. And I haven't done it ever since I've started YouTubing podcasts. Ever since I've been adding videos to this YouTube, I've not had a bite of anything from a fast food restaurant. I'm very proud of that. And I know that I'm mentally strong because a weak person could not pull that shit off. A weak person could not do that. And I quit drinking, I quit smoking cigarettes, I quit doing the blocaine, I quit doing all that shit just at the drop of a dime. Like, I just stopped. I didn't need it anymore, and I just quit. I know that I have that mental strength, and I know that I possess that. But I obviously don't have the strength to be able to stand in a room full of people that I don't want to be in. I don't have the mental stability to put up with a situation that I don't want to put up with. My brain will break down, and I have all these great moments that I consider great moments in my mentality, and where something happens that shouldn't happen, like when I get to go to see the beat holes or something like that, and I'm like not burning up just to get home, and sometimes it's fine, but in a situation like last night, and I'm surrounded by people that I love, people that love me, people that want me around, and people that I actually want to be around, but still I'm like ready to go. And I was a little upset whenever I found out, whenever we got done, and I was trying to get everything off the stage for the next band that was coming up, and it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like I was the only one that was worried about getting the equipment off stage, because I see the band setting up stuff outside, and they're already getting their whole setup ready, and they're literally setting up. I can see through the window outside. They're putting their equipment together out there, and that makes me nervous, because I feel like then I'm in the way. I feel like I'm in the way of somebody, and we stopped 10 minutes early just so that these guys could get in and do their thing, and I feel good about that. But it seemed like I was the only one that was really rushing to get everything off of the stage. And then after we got done packing everything up, I was like, pretty much, all right, well, let's go ahead and roll tide. Let's get out of here. And Smitty and Adam were like, well, we're gonna eat. And I was like, all of my neighbors decided to leave now, huh? Right? I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I was like, I really wish I would have drove. Yeah, I really wish that I would have drove, but I just absolutely cannot. I'm not very good not being in control of myself in a situation. And by not being in control of myself, meaning that I had to rely on somebody else to transport me to my house. Like, it's literally that small of a situation that would alter how I felt so much, that just because I couldn't drive myself, just because I had to rely on somebody else to get me somewhere. And I don't like relying on other people. I like I'm a very independent person. I like to be in charge of my own situation at all times. I like to be the one in charge of that. And when I have to rely on somebody else to do something, I'm not good in that situation. I do not do well in that aspect of life. And I don't know what I can do to change it. I don't know what there is to do, and I don't want to just be one of those people who blame things on, oh, it was my childhood, blah blah blah, or whatever have you. I don't want to blame things on the concussions that I got when I was young and whatever have you. But, and I'll say again, listening back to the Dale Jr. podcast with Rogan, I heard a lot of similarities in the way that he described how he felt sometimes to that of how I feel sometimes. And they say, and by they, I mean random people who I've talked to who've heard episodes of the podcast, and we've started discussions, and random things that I've read here and there about concussions, that you don't really feel the effects of them until maybe 10 to 15, even 30 years later. So this thing happened when I was 8, and about the time when I was about 28, 29 was probably my most unstable. I would say from 26 to 30, I was probably the most unstable. And I mean, just absolutely. And you guys, I'm not going to go back and tell the story, but you can look back, and I think it's episode number. It's one of the early ones, probably like 6 or 7. where I talk about alcohol and depression. And I'm pretty sure that I give my recap of the whole situation. And there's another one where I think I talked about the suicide talk. And I'm just like, I went through that situation, that point in my life where I was very suicidal and I was just very unhappy. And I gained zero nourishment from anything in my life, and everything brought me down. And I'm pretty sure that might have been the effects from the concussion when I was a kid, just coming back to pick at me for a little while. And I don't know if I'll get any more blowback from that thing, but at least I know now. Whenever something like that happens, I can acknowledge it and say, okay, I've realized what this is. I know that this is just effects from something that happened to me a really long time ago, and I'm fine with that now, and I can deal with this. So, and just like I was saying with Austin in the last episode, when you feel the panic attack coming on, you're like, okay, I know what this is. I recognize this feeling. I understand what's happening right now. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm not gonna freak out. I'm just gonna wait this out for a second, let everything calm down, and everything will be fine. Something funny happened yesterday, and I noticed it, and nobody else did. Adam wasn't feeling good. We recorded a cornbread podcast yesterday. Adam wasn't feeling good. And he was sitting in the chair, and he just closed his eyes for a second. And immediately Smitty's like, "You okay, buddy? You all right? You okay? You all right? You good? You fine? You good? You gonna be sick? You gonna be okay? You gonna be fine? You good? You okay? You all right?" And he wasn't meaning to do that. I think he was literally concerned, but I don't think he realizes that you don't do things like that when somebody. And I didn't say anything. I wasn't gonna say anything to Smitty, because if I would have said something to Smitty, he would have said something negative back to me, and that would have probably made Adam feel worse in the situation he was in, because I understand anxiety, and he was just getting a little anxiety. But just a little anxiety that he was getting was almost driven into a panic attack, because Smitty was like, "Are you okay? You fine? You good, buddy? You're going to be fine. You're going to be all right. Just breathe, man. Just breathe normal. You're good. You're fine. Just breathe normal. You're good. You're fine." And in the episode that I recorded, the 5 things you'd never say to anybody having a panic attack, is just consistently talking about it, bringing it up, saying, just honestly doing what he was doing. And even after that, Adam was like, "Dude, I had to get up and I had to walk to the bathroom just to get away from it, just to get away from. Are you okay? You good? You fine? You good? You all right? Yeah." And I don't know. I thought that was a funny situation, that Smitty, who claims to have never had a panic attack or never had anxiety or anything like that, was totally like almost producing one in Adam. He almost gave Adam a panic attack just by trying to help in his own way. But I don't know. It's just that's the sort of thing. Like, are you okay? Are you fine? You good? You good, buddy? You fine? And it was literally not like, maybe not that fast, but there was not a lot of time in between his words. Like it was a almost adamant, like I don't want to say anything rude and upsetting, but like a child that just keeps saying, like, if they don't get a response, they just keep talking, and that went on. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But I don't know. I just saw that in him. I saw that happening. He wasn't feeling good. He was feeling a little anxiety coming on, but he realized, I think, that it was anxiety, and he just removed himself from the situation that was causing it. He went to the bathroom, and I knew exactly what was going on the whole time, and I don't think that Smitty was as aware of the situation as I was, but I do also think that maybe saying something to him while that was going on, would have made the situation worse. But who am I to say that? Who am I to judge? But anyway, yeah, I guess the main thing that I'm getting at in this talk is I think that the fact that I had that horrible concussion when I was a kid has made me hairline trigger at some points, just where the smallest little thing will send me in an absolute just madhouse of anger, or the randomest little thing might just rip my emotions apart, or whatever have you, which is very odd because I'm very strong in just about every other aspect of my life. Or not just my life, in my aspect of my mentality, I mean. Like, I'm very strong mentally, and I feel weak when those things happen. And that is the worst feeling that I can get, is to feel weak, because I've always felt strong. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's really discouraging when you feel that way. And sometimes when I get that discouragement, it's like, oh shit, it's always going to be this way. But then I realize that's just depression trying to creep back in, but we don't have that anymore. So we're going to just acknowledge that and push it to the side. So yeah, and I've got a better start on the winter than I usually have. This winter actually is, and every year I feel like it gets a little bit better. And this year, going into the wintertime isn't near as strenuous emotionally as winters have been in the past. I've got a lot to look forward to this year. I'm playing with the boys American Sound tonight at Wild Horse Saloon. Next year, I'm going to have 1 weekend a month. Smitty wants to take 1 weekend a month off next year, and that is so awesome because that'll leave me at least 1 weekend a month where I'll get to play with Chip and Daryl, and we'll get to do some different stuff than we get to do with Cornbread, or not necessarily different stuff, but a different style of things, like something to step out of the norm, where I'm always doing the same thing in my own mind, where I'm always doing the same songs or the same style of music, and you get stuck in the same couple of beats that we can pull off in Cornbread. And I mean, they're good grooves, but when it's the same thing over and over and you get bored all the damn time, that'll leave me opportunity to wash myself mentally every month and step away from the norm. Because, man, that's the quickest way for me to lose interest is to continuously do the same things over and over and over. I will immediately lose interest if I have to do that. And maybe not so much as like entertainment things. Like, I can watch the same things over and over, and honestly, like come home and do the same sort of routine. But honestly, I guess I just have to change little tiny things. Like, for instance, I will still be going out to play music, but I have to just change something very tiny about it. As in, like, just, okay, instead of doing this song this way, I want to try it this way, just to see how it sounds. See if it works another way, or try to do something like that, or just keep it to where I'm not feeling like I'm punching a clock, which it certainly feels like I'm punching a time clock now. But like I said, I got a lot to look forward to this year. There's a lot of cool things that are going down, and the podcast has turned one already, and got our first year under our belt, and I'm really stoked about where we're going to go in the next year and all of the cool new things that we're going to be doing as far as YouTube and editing videos, and Cornbread has a YouTube page now, so we've got months of recorded material, and we've been sitting on all of this material for months, and now we've gotten to the spot to where it's time to start pulling some of those videos apart and picking good songs to drop on our YouTube page, and that's gonna advance Cornbread, which is a good thing, I guess. And we're gonna be doing the same thing with the podcast, which is a good thing, I guess. And I'm pretty sure that once we get up to a certain amount of subscribers, I think we're at 60 subscribers right now on YouTube, which thank you guys for doing that. Thank you guys for hitting the subscribe button, as I have so annoyingly been asking. And I'm going to continue to do that. But we're up to 60 subscribers, and once we get to, I think, 100 people subscribing, or 4,000 watch minutes in a cycle, in a 28-day cycle, then we will be able to monetize the podcast a little bit. So hopefully that won't mean that you guys are going to be seeing ads through everything, but if so, it would not hurt my feelings at all to be able to monetize something that I've put a lot of time in, and I have put a lot of time into the podcast, and I'm really surprised in myself that I've done so. I'm really surprised that I have putting this much time into it, because I usually don't do that unless it's monetarily driven. And I said to my family the other night, I was like, I've never worked harder on something in my life that I didn't get paid for. And it's true. I work pretty hard at this podcast. It might not seem like it, and it might seem like it's haphazardly thrown together. And sometimes it is. Like today, I didn't think at all about what I was going to talk about when I sat down. I just hit record and started talking. And I do that more oftentimes than not. But when I get done doing this and I add the music and I trim off the beginning of the video and I add the links to the subscriptions at the end and do all of that stuff. By the way, at the end of this video, at the 20-second mark, at the 20 seconds, the last 20 seconds of this video, there's going to be some links up there. I want you to click all of them. I'm going to put a link up to Cornbread's new YouTube page, to my YouTube channel, and to another random video from the page, but click all of those things. But there's a lot of work that goes into this behind the scenes, like the stuff that you don't see me do, which is basically sitting here talking. And a lot of computer work that goes into it. And I know computer work isn't, strenuous or anything, but it's work. And I been doing a lot of that lately, and trying to make sure that as many people as possible are exposed to this message I'm trying to get out, which I'm not even sure what it is yet. But if you're listening, you probably know what it is. And if you do, I wish you'd tell me, because I'm not sure I know. But I guess I just want this log of things that I've done in my life for later, for those who come after me, or for when I'm old and I can't remember anything anymore, to listen to and be like, oh, this is who I was. And also, I guess, if anybody else out there ever feels the way that I do about things, which is a horrible feeling, like I have a lot of bad feelings about things. Like I feel terrible about a lot of stuff. And I don't want anybody out there who feels the same way that I do about things to think that they're the only ones that feel that way, because I do too. And that's why I like to try to be very graphic and transparent about all of these things that I'm talking to you guys about, because that's how those emotions work. And I'm not ashamed of saying the things that I felt. And even when I'm talking about, I don't want to tell Smitty, hey man, stop talking, because that'll just make him upset and cause everybody in the room to just get even more angry than we are, and Adam have a panic attack, when I just don't want to say, hey man, just calm down, just hush for a second. You're driving him into a panic attack. Even saying stuff like that, like I know we'll probably have words about that, and that'll probably be a topic of conversation later on. But I like to try to be as transparent and as open as possible because I don't see a need in keeping all of this. Keeping all of this hid, and it's honestly easier to say it here than in front of him because Jesus, we don't want. I don't want to. I don't want to have to go through. I don't want to have to go through what I feel like I would have to go through if I say that. And that's a terrible situation too. That might be one of the reasons that it leads me to anxiety and feels like punching the clock playing with cornbread. Like maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because I feel like I can't say what I want to say. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, gonna get out of here. I got a gig to play tonight with the American Sound at the Wild Horse. Gonna be there from 5 to 9. And, if you hear this before then or before the end of the gig, stop by and say what up. Do your thing. Do whatever you feels right in your life. Do things that make people love you. I guess. People are going to love you whether you do what they want to do or not. Because that's what people do. People see hope in things. I wonder why that is. I wonder why people see hope when they shouldn't. Not that they shouldn't, but I wonder why people are the way that they are. Guess I'll have to keep wondering. Anyway, I have watched American Horror Story. This season was pretty good. I watched the whole thing, and one of the few shows I actually watch in real time. It's definitely not the best season, but it wasn't the worst by any means. It was pretty good. I suggest that you watch it now that it's all said and done with. It's on demand. I'm pretty sure you can get it on Prime or maybe Hulu. Not sure. Watch that. But also, Coen Brothers, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs has just been added to Netflix. I'm going to be watching that. A lot of people whose opinion I appreciate and respect have watched that and have said only good things. So I'm going to watch that, probably start that later on tonight. Trivia people. Trivia is no longer going to be held at Bubba's Love Shack on Mondays. It will now be at Creek Rats starting next Monday. Not tomorrow, but next Monday. That's going to be happening. Not sure about the future of trivia at Mako's. We'll find out. And that's all for local people, obviously. But yeah, watch those things that I've suggested. Come to trivia so it will do well at the Creek Rats. And don't be a shitty person. In a world full of shitty people, don't be one of them. Be a good person. All right. That's all I got for you. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Be good people. Love you. Mean it. Peace, bitches. Hey, guys. How you living? You doing well? Good. Glad to hear that. So, in this episode, I started rambling a little bit about concussions and my concussion and how I feel similarities in between a lot of the people who I've heard give their take on how concussions has affected them in their lives. And I also talked about anxiety and getting it and the things that cause it and all this nonsense, and talked about the Cornbread podcast yesterday and a couple things that happened there with Smitty almost giving Adam a panic attack and not even realizing it. And I talked about Vinny and Ellen's thing. Congrats, Vinny and Ellen. Love y'all. We did that last night at Hot Fish Club, but you'll hear about that in a minute. There was a couple of other things that I talked about that slip in my mind right now because I didn't write any of it down or have notes on what I did. But anyway, you'll hear that in a little bit. So the new things that are going on in the world of me, in my world, is Cornbread now has a YouTube channel. Smitty started us a YouTube channel the other day, and we added the episode of the Cornbread podcast on that channel, and there's links at the end of that video. And as there will be links at the end of this video that we're recording right now, and all sorts of different things going on in that. We'll be adding videos that we've been recording over the last few months with the Mevo here, and we're going to be dropping those into our YouTube channel. So stay tuned to that. Subscribe to that channel. That's here in the next couple of minutes. At the end of this video, right now, there's going to be links at the bottom of the page. Click the one that says MI Stuff Podcast and click the one with the picture of the two guitars and the djembe and hit subscribe to both of those channels. I have 60 people subscribing to this channel, so I expect all 60 of you to be hitting that cornbread button as well. Anyway, do that. I've been posting to the Patreon page for my stuff, trying to keep up with that. If you guys feel like you're digging anything that I've got going on and want to commit to a monthly amount that you guys want to donate to the cause, by all means, please do that at Patreon. Everything that you donate will absolutely be used for the podcast. There's constant things that we need, and all sorts of things that we could use right now, and just anything, everything that I get from you guys will be used to make this podcast a better experience for everybody, and I'm trying to do that little by little. So let me see, is there anything else? Oh, on Netflix, the Coen Brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, just dropped on Netflix night before last. I'm gonna, after I get done with the gig tonight, I'm gonna come back home and watch that. I think it's a series, but I'm not sure. But I will find out when I get home tonight and watch it. But then I'll give you guys an update on Wednesday. So next week, Brother Tommy Tipton's going to be coming on a week from today. This Sunday, Tommy's going to be coming on to talk about all sorts of things. Got another good bit of episodes in the cornbread world coming to you. But anyway, without further ado, here's episode number 79, MI Stuff. Enjoy, motherfuckers. All right, guys. Click the buttons at the bottom of the page right now. Click the cornbread thing. Click the My Stuff thing. And subscribe, share it. Do all the good stuff. Anyway, love you. Peace, bitches.